Hey everybody, welcome to Ecker Geopolitics. It is 7:16 p.m. April 16th, 2026. House Speaker plans vote on the Israeli raid. The IDF vows response to Tehran's retaliatory strikes. So, Israel is not backing down anytime soon, as we can see. And as we can see from all of these developments, there really is no going back in terms of what we're going to be able to accomplish with everything else going on in this war, unless Trump comes to his senses, right? And there needs to be more of a form of, accountability with our politicians. We got a lot of different stories today. Israel and Lebanon agreed to a 10-day ceasefire, Trump says. And on top of that, we have other big stories as well. Glint Trade is telling us that there's a lot of big info. POTUS on the ceasefire with Iran. I'm not sure it needs to be extended. And so again, looks like there's going to be a lot of agreements. We have Trump's Truth Social post. I'm on Air Force One heading to Las Vegas and Arizona. Greetings and speech on no tax on tips and windfall for our great American citizens. I am watching one of the latest attractive and talented people on all of television, Jessica Tarlo. Her voice is so grating and terrible, I had to turn her off. Her Democrat sound bites are fake. She makes up poll numbers, and nobody challenges her because she is so boring. I have almost the best poll numbers I've ever had, and why shouldn't I? Is this all Trump knows how to say? Come on, Trump. All the country does is win. CNN had me at 100% for saying they never saw that before. Get her off the air. She is bad for our country. I hear Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens are dying fast. No, they're not, Trump. Wow, he goes after them again. He goes after Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens again in this Truth Social. This was posted at 6:27, just about 45 minutes before this entire live stream began. I hear Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens are dying fast. I disagree with that. Their numbers are terrible. Nobody believes them anymore. They were fake MAGA, and now they've been exposed. President DJT. So yeah, that's pretty crazy, right? So what do you guys have to say about that? Honestly, I think it's pretty wild when we look at everything that's going on. And when we look at all of these other stories that are going big in the media today, the big question is, when are we actually going to see some action from our politicians, right? When are we going to see actual changes being made and implementations being made? That's what I want to know. So there's a lot of big stories, a lot of big news, and at the end of the day, I can tell you a lot of this isn't going away anytime soon. So here's some statements from Trump's and his remarks on everything that's been going on. This is POTUS on the ceasefire with Iran. I'm not sure it needs to be extended. Iran wants to make a deal, and we are dealing very nicely with them. So let's take a look at this video.
Considering extending the ceasefire with Iran.
With who?
With Iran.
We're doing very well, I can tell you. Maybe it'll happen before that. I'm not sure it needs to be extended. Just so you know, Iran wants to make a deal, and we're dealing very nicely with them. We've got to have no nuclear weapons. If we do, that's a big factor. And they're willing to do things today that they weren't willing to do 2 months ago.
So yeah, that was Donald Trump's statements, taking questions from, again, en route to Las Vegas. Again, according to Trump, it looks like the negotiations are going well. That's Trump's words, though. And at the same time, we have everything. This is the same rhetoric we've been seeing for Trump for a long time, for many weeks. So as Trump says that, this was also said today at 3:10. So let's take a listen to this video where, again, he goes after the Pope. He doesn't really go after the Pope, but he kind of explains himself and why it's the president's job to focus on war and it's the Pope's job to focus on religion, which it is. Both of these parties really should stay in their own lane, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, the Pope is right. If this war doesn't benefit America, I don't see why we should be in the war, right? And not only America, but the rest of the world. There needs to be some element of peace. And if we're not going to be the liberators of peace as the United States, what we used to be as America, as what we used to be known as, and at least the better sides of America, the better history of America, then who really are we, right? So this is Donald Trump and his statements on that.
No, I don't. I have to do what's right. The Pope has to understand that. Very simple. I have nothing against the Pope. His brother's MAGA all the way. I like his brother, Louis. I'm not fighting with him. The Pope made a statement. He says Iran can have a nuclear weapon. I say Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if the Pope looked at the 42,000 people that were killed over the last 2 or 3 months as a protester with no weapons, no nothing, I mean, you take a look at that. So I can disagree with the Pope. I have a right to disagree.
So you disagree with the Pope, Trump, and that's fine. But the issue is that you went after him first because the Pope was calling for global peace, and then Trump had went after the Pope, and then that's what started all of this. So it's the constant gaslighting, and it's the constant the Pope started this whole feud. No, it was Trump that started that whole feud, and so that's kind of why. Again, when we look at all of this news from the BRICS news, we see a lot of these developments happening, right? Catholic Pope Leo says the world is being ravaged by a handful of tyrants. And, I don't think he's talking about just the United States. He's talking about Israel, too. He's really talking about the United States into Israel. We are abusing our power instead of being stealthy and smart with it, strategic with it. And now every other country is learning our game. They're figuring out and studying our movements, all of that stuff. Right? Iran threatens to sink American ships in the Strait of Hormuz and says a U.S. ground invasion would be great. Justin, Iran says thousands of drones and missiles, U.S. military official says. So, again, they're coming after Trump. They're saying, no, we're not going to back down. The ceasefire is not going to end anytime soon. We are going to continue avenging our people because, listen, that's the truth. The United States essentially funded this war unwillingly, a lot of by the taxpayer, the American taxpayer, obviously unwillingly. But the United States was also controlled by Israel. And what that means is, you have all of these Zionists that have occupied the White House and positions around Donald Trump. So let's listen to this clip from Donald Trump on what he had to say.
Including the first woman protester.
The first woman protester.
Well, tell that to the Pope. What did you say? Tell that to the Pope.
You want to pass
Trump is funny, though, right? Honestly, tell that to the Pope about the first woman Pope. Honestly, I don't know how. I got to agree with Trump on that. Don't know how much I agree with the first woman Pope there. Breaking news, America is sending 10,000 troops to Iran despite there being a ceasefire. So this is an update from Alex Barnicoat. Let's take a listen.
The U.S. is sending some breaking news. America is sending 10,000 troops to Iran, despite the ceasefire. And there's actually evidence that they might be using the peace talks in Pakistan as cover to launch a ground invasion into Iran. In fact, the US is not only sending these 10,000 troops, but they're sending them on board an aircraft
10,000 troops being sent to the United States, or
and
to
an entire
Israel.
amphibious assault group
Iran,
as well. The US is sending possibly over 20 more warships along with these 10,000 troops to the Middle East. And this suggests one thing, that the US is going to war. At the moment, there are more peace talks currently taking place in Pakistan after the previous peace talks failed a few days ago. But since those peace talks failed, things in the Middle East have really changed. The ceasefire appears to have been extended past the 2-week mark, but things appear to be escalating. The US is sending more things to the region. Pakistan is moving their fighter jets. Other countries are changing deals, etc. It was previously announced by the US that they currently have at least 50,000 troops already in the region.
50,000 troops in the region already. And then Trump is saying, well, we're going to have a ceasefire. Well, we're going to do a strategic withdrawal. I don't know about that.
Ready to launch a ground invasion if they need. And to be fair, Polymarket predicts that the chance of the US ending military operations in Iran by the end of the month has now fallen to just 42%. That means that it's more likely than not that the war is going to continue. And so, with these extra 10,000 troops, it only emphasizes that more. And it seems, in my opinion, they're going back to war. And so, I'm going to keep you up to date on this as I have been throughout. So, leave me a follow because I'm going to cover the news.
Give Alex Barnicoat a follow for that data, for that news, for that information. Meanwhile, Israel is destroying everything they touch. You think you're safe in the countryside, but soon nowhere you'll be peaceful. Absolutely. This is from Launder, from the UK. This is a UK account, but let's take a listen to this. Look at this video.
What are you smashing the wall down for? What are you smashing the wall up
And they're
for?
doing this everywhere.
Why are you smashing the wall
The Israelis
down?
have been doing this everywhere around the planet. They're doing this in Lebanon right now. They did this in Gaza, have been doing it for a long time.
I've just watched you chucking bricks trying to smash the fucking wall down.
What would you do if this was your wall of your home?
It's not your wall. There's a path up there off the main road. There's a path on over there. This is not your property, dude. You can't just go around smashing shit up because you.
And they don't even care. They're so aloof about it. This is like what they do. In their minds, this is what they were born for.
I don't care, dude. It's not your wall. I've just watched it.
Oh, don't hurt the dogs now. See, I'm worried he's going to kick those dogs knowing these people. Okay, at least he left the dogs alone.
Leave the wall alone. It's a dry stone wall.
No
It's been
shit.
up for hundreds of years. Dry stone wall, hundreds of years.
And look at his face. They don't even care. He's like knocking out a wall of somebody else's property, right? And just destroying somebody else's land. And then he doesn't even care. Look at his face. Tells you everything you need to know about the Israelis right now at this current time in history and where they're at.
Cost thousands of pounds per meter to put it right. And
you see that reaction? Look at that. He just, after he says that costed £1,000 per meter. Look at this.
Pounds per meter to put it
He literally just says, I don't care.
Right. And you think you can come around here and smash a fucking hole in it because you want to get through. Walk down there. There's a fucking gap in the wall down
And this is happening in the United Kingdom. These people are doing this in the UK, the Israelis. They're doing it in Argentina, Patagonia, Argentina. They're doing it in Lebanon. They're doing it in Gaza. What happens when they do it to America? And now he's going to record him. And so what's going to happen now? This man's going to call the guy who originally was filming this guy tearing down the wall. This guy who was tearing down the wall is now going to call the filmmaker the anti-Semite, right? He's going to be the bad guy. He's going to get the guy. He's going to be the one to get thrown in jail and get fines for this. And these people know it. The Israelis know it. All these foreigners, the Muslims know it. And they know that basically the what would you call it? The native people in the UK, they literally have no rights. And so they have to just allow this to happen. This is what occupation looks like.
To put you on Facebook. Why are you putting me on Facebook?
Why you put me on Facebook? Why? Well, you're destroying people's land. They really always have this aloof attitude, don't they? They really don't seem to really see any problem with what they're doing, ever. Breaking, China has told Danish shipping group Maersk and Switzerland-based Mediterranean shipping company MSC Shipping to cease operating ports on the Panama Canal, the Financial Times reported on Wednesday. In a meeting with China's state planner last month, Maersk and MSC Shipping were told to withdraw from the Balboa and Cristobal ports immediately, the report said, citing two people familiar with the talks. Maersk and MSC were told not to engage in illegal activities that harm the interests of the Chinese companies and to uphold commercial ethics of international rules, the report said. Panama has granted temporary 18-month concessions to keep the terminals open, with APM Terminals, a unit of Maersk, managing Balboa, and TIL Panama, a unit of MSC, handling Cristobal. C.K. Hutchinson has faced heavy criticism from China since unveiling a plan in March 2025 to sell 43 ports in 23 countries, including the Balboa and Cristobal ports, to a group led by the BlackRock and Italian Gianluigi Aponti's family-run shipping firms in the MSC. So again, here's a little clip of that. Supply chains. Supply chains. It's one of the most important things you should be paying attention to in World War III. This is happening right now before your eyes. The supply chains are going to continue getting struck hard. And we are lucky to be in the United States also, by the way. And, you know, we need to be helping the European countries like Ireland, the UK, Germany, Canada. These countries, the northern countries, or the Nordic countries in Europe, and the European countries in the United States really must unite against the state of Israel and against the Donald Trumps. You know, otherwise the supply chain, if the supply chain breaks in America, it breaks everywhere else. And that Panama Canal, if China owns that Panama Canal, then the rest of the world will pretty much suffer, because basically China is going to reap the benefits of that. And really, this is the United States. This is the United States canal here. I mean, you could say it's Panama's canal, yeah, but really the United States really, you know, we need to take this back from China. And China has a lot of control over that right now. So a lot of activity happening there. Denmark and Switzerland should tell China to take a hike, pal. We're sovereign. Yeah. Frankly, if you read the facts about the treaties that were made about 3 decades ago, Chinese company C.K. Hutchinson, and also China is the victim here, caused by Orange Man who blackmailed Panama and their court. Now guess what? Now guess what the USA will do if China does the same with U.S. investments. I wonder why China is even interfering in Panama. Oh yeah, that's right. They bought land there and are trying to take it over. Didn't Trump say he wanted to take back the canal? Yes, he did. And that's why we're covering this, because if China gets that canal, not only are they going to be controlling the Strait of Hormuz, they're also going to be controlling that canal and basically taking in all that income. And that does not help the European countries, believe me. And, you know, the European countries, you know, the United States really is a big provider for a lot of these European countries today, especially in trade. And, you know, Spain has already been cut off from trade. That's factually just happened. Donald Trump just cut off trade from Spain just for not allowing the United States to cross over their bases. So that's pretty big. Chinese ship just sailed through America's blockade. Again, this happened yesterday, but still a big enough story to where we should cover it again. Let's take one more listen to this.
China just told America to basically fuck off, and a Chinese ship just sailed straight past the American warships that are meant to be blockading the Strait of Hormuz. Well, so this makes sense, and the actual embarrassment to the US becomes obvious. You need to know what the US is currently doing. Well, in an attempt to try and stop Iran from blocking the Strait of Hormuz, the US has now sent warships into it to block it themselves. As well as that, the US is clearing the mines that are in the Strait of Hormuz, but they're also choosing which ships are allowed to pass through and which aren't. Coincidentally, the only ships the Americans are allowing to pass through is ships that work with the Americans. But now that a sanctioned Chinese ship has passed through without the US doing anything, it might change everything. Although I will say that the chance of this blockade actually even holding up for very long is pretty low. Polymarket predicts there's just a 61% chance that this American blockade...
Yeah, I don't think the blockade's going to hold up too long. I don't think that that's going to be strategically beneficial for America. I don't think it's going to work. We didn't enforce it. The Chinese ships got through, and I think they're still getting through.
Will last until even the end of this month. The reason for that, though, is because now that this Chinese ship has sailed straight through the blockade, all of the other countries are going to follow suit. Specifically today, a Chinese oil tanker passed through the straits. This oil tanker was actually sanctioned by the Americans, and they told China that if it sails through the strait and past their blockading warships, they will hijack it. The only problem is China didn't listen to the US's threats, and it decided to sail through and
they just didn't even listen and went right through.
The US, rather than hijacking the ship as they said they would, decided not to, and they let it sail straight through. And not only is this a big embarrassment to the US, because it shows that their threats don't mean much, but it's also likely that other countries, which are also sanctioned, won't listen either, because it suggests that the US doesn't want to hijack anyone's ship. And so, it's likely the Strait of Hormuz is going to reopen, because the American blockade now is going to fall to pieces, as other countries see the US actually isn't that scary. And so, as it progresses and America just gets more and more embarrassed, leave me a follow, because I'm going to keep you up to date on this stuff. And this is stuff that you're not going to find.
He's absolutely right. The United States, if you're watching from outside of America, which we have a couple people who do listen from outside of America, you have to understand that the United States, where we are strongest, is actually, our job is to liberate the world of terrorism. And so the problem is, a lot of people would listen to that and say, no, the United States is the greatest funder of terror. It's like, you're right. But here's the thing. It's like, at the same time, we are also combating, we were for the longest time combating Israel and kind of fighting that war and basically protecting a lot of these other countries from the Israelis. Now it's kind of a different story. And we've kind of had this war since the beginning of America, really. You had Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and these guys coming over here from, Great Britain. They were fleeing tyranny. They were fleeing all of that. A lot of them weren't just fleeing. They were explorers. And, so what happened next? You had a lot of the Jewish slave trade start coming in. You had a lot of that start beginning. Then next thing you knew, the Jews started taking over, and you had this Judeo-Christianity, the Freemasons, and that really took off with the United States and the Illuminati and all of that, which is real, was real at least. And that really created the foundation of this country we have today. Really, the United States, yes, in many ways, has always been one of the greatest funders of terror, but kind of, covertly. And to the extent that it was overt, it's more in an extent that, the American taxpayer pays for the wars unwillingly. But they know they do. So in that way, they know we know we pay for this war and all these wars that are unnecessary, but the American people don't have as much power as we wish we did. And so that is what is changing now, though. And I think that entire narrative, that entire outcome is going to change. I think you're going to see the Zionist regime in the United States completely collapse. I think this Iran war and these unnecessary, unprovoked wars that the United States and Israel are getting involved in together, usually by Israel's hand, by Israel's policies, by the Knesset kind of, controlling policy and blackmailing our politicians. I mean, they'll do this to you guys too. They'll do this to every country they go into. And then they'll gaslight. And so with all of that, we have to look at the situation objectively and realize that the United States is strongest when we are liberating the world for freedom. We do have the story of freedom. We do have the story of conquering this land in America, but the way we conquered it was different than Israel, because we conquered it by building and by unifying, by trading. All of these things we did. We lived among the Native Americans, and yeah, there were skirmishes, there were wars, but also the Native Americans were scalping each other and they were raping each other's women. So when we came to America, there was no civilization. There was no buildings. There was no land. There was no farming. There was no irrigation. There was no, electricity. None of these things existed. Government didn't exist. None of these things exist. There was no sheriff's deputies yet. There was no law enforcement. There was no judicial order. There was no court of law. Nothing existed really yet in America. And there was only small forms of this, but they were unofficial, of course. And to our extent, when we explain what is unofficial, we talk about how, in the United States today, we have an entire congressional body. We've built up this entire congressional body in America that runs the entire rest of the world. And so it's a horrible thing to see the United States getting involved in wars that don't benefit not only America, but they also don't benefit our allies in any way. And that's why none of our allies are coming to our aid. And why should they? Why would they come to the aid of the United States when this war is not going to benefit any of these countries that are involved in it? And again, we already had the Strait of Hormuz. The United States already had the Strait of Hormuz secured. Trump let Israel influence him and the people around him, or whatever that situation is. And, here we are today. And so this is just a pure testament to why we can never allow, our politicians to become corrupted like that. So again, if you're looking to grow your business, awesome resource right here, Gold Shark Media AI. This is our software that I created, but I built it up and our team built it up. It's very powerful stuff. Chat widget. It's got booking built right in, prospecting. This is how you get your clients. You want to run your whole business from one place. goldsharkmedia.com has it all. We got everything you could possibly need to manage your business: leads, tasks, pipelines, social publishers, teams, reports, ROI calculators to manage your business and figure out the numbers, where you're at, all of that stuff. We have AI app builders and site funnel builders. We have CRM set up, everything you could possibly need to run your business in one place. We have the Trust Center. We have Google reviews, an entire system to make sure you're getting those at an automated rate. Literally just sign up, start your 7-day free trial, and you'll get 7 days to basically use this software for free and see which one you like. And then when you're ready, you just upgrade, right? When you're ready, you upgrade, get all of the services and the perks that you see listed down here, and you will get an entire automated business at your behest. And you will be able to make cash flow and to truly change the world one day, right? And then eventually, maybe if you're good enough, if your business is powerful enough, you'll just sell it for $1 million. We have our monthly plan, and then we have our annual plans listed here, as you can see. And so with that being said, you got to run your business. You got to be able to do it from one place. If you're looking to become a real estate agent, make more money if you're trying to make more money in the economy and the recession, not a bad idea to get a real estate license, right? And so I created this online real estate course for future real estate agents. It is relevant for all 50 states. It has 1,300 practice questions, and it has lesson chapters, interactive videos, PDFs, all that stuff. It's $99. You keep it forever, and has all the guides you're going to need to pass your state exam. Tons of questions. 24/7 customer support. It's got all of it. So you want to ask questions, you want to learn, it's got everything in there so you can pass your state licensing exam to become a real estate agent. And then you make some money, right? Make a lot more money and change your life. And then lastly, if you're looking to grow in real estate, I am a real estate agent, and I do like to look at the markets a little bit. So we're going to do that real quick. Look at these prices. These are all the newest properties available right now in Michigan, $27,900. And again, this is more for your real estate investors. This comes this comes directly from the Michigan Real Estate Investors Association. All these houses are pretty much available today in Michigan, and you like fits and flips, you like multifamily properties, you like something that makes you cash flow. These are all just in the Detroit area. And so I'm only showing you the Detroit properties. This does not get into the nicer properties that you'll see in Auburn Hills and Bloomfield Hills. This page is for my real estate investors, for the rehabbers, for the people who want to burst strategy their way to the top, right? Look at here. You got a $463,900 home in Troy, Michigan. This looks like it could be a multifamily, perhaps. It's a spacious 4-bedroom home on large lot with 2-car garage, vacant and ready for your next investment opportunity. Located in one of Troy's most highly sought-after neighborhoods, 2544 Oxford Drive presents a strong opportunity for investors looking to capitalize on a high-demand retail market where homes are moving in under 5 days. This 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath property offers a solid layout with over 2,200 square feet, making it ideal for a light to moderate value add renovation. So yeah, and you can read more on this. This link, I'll put it in the description after this video. The asking price is $463,900. The ARV is $590,000. I mean, not so bad. You got the funds, you got the real estate, you got the money, you got the experience. Maybe this might be your investment. Not a bad property, honestly. Maybe I'll just look into it myself if nobody else does. But honestly, this is kind of what you want to go for. maybe a little cheaper prices, but you'd have to underwrite the deal. But that's exactly what I do for you. I underwrite the deal. We talk about all of this. And, if you're looking for a property like this, this is exactly what I help with. So back to the news. Again, I wanted to show this. Church of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, commonly known as the Brompton/London Oratory, consecrated in 1884. So again, speaking of real estate, where are my real estate builders? Where are the developers who want to build immaculate real estate again and beautiful architecture again? This is what we need to bring back to America and the West. This is what we need. This is who we are. So what do you guys think about that? So again, I think it's pretty crazy when you look at all of the news today. Turning Point USA raises the Turning Point USA event raised questions about the organization's direction. Erica Kirk claimed she didn't go on stage due to security threats, despite Secret Service presence and Vice President JD Vance being there, which has led many to question that explanation. So let's take a look at this video. Erica Kirk's been getting a lot of flack, and really for Charlie Kirk and everything that's happened, a lot of people speculate that Erica Kirk had something to do with Charlie Kirk's death. But when we look at the Tyler Robinson evidence and the FBI evidence, then that doesn't really look to be true, right? That's what the narrative is. So let's take a look at this video and let's break down what we can find out about Erica Kirk.
To know about where the MAGA movement is right now. On Tuesday, Vice President JD Vance took to the stage, and, well, before we get into all that, just watch this video. Attendees posting these scenes from social media showing this event was so empty, especially for a Turning Point USA event in Athens, Georgia, at the University of Georgia. These kind of events are usually filled with tens of thousands of people. That's
Sorry
what
about
they
that. Sorry about that. That screen was locked there for a while. You got to understand, I use a Mac OS, and it is just absolutely ridiculous. So it really just freezes the frame like that. It's so annoying.
For a Turning Point USA event in Athens, Georgia, at the University of Georgia. These kind of events are usually filled with tens of thousands of people. That's what they had grown to, if not thousands of loyal conservative voters. But this time, that wasn't the case. Listen to this.
So if you want to complain about what happened in Gaza.
Oh, boy.
So if you want, sir, to complain about what happened in Gaza, why don't you complain about Joe Biden and the last administration? We're the administration that solved that problem.
Oh, come on, JD Vance.
And by the way, not only was our administration like the administration that solved the problem, but the president. Excuse me, sir. Right now, you see more humanitarian aid coming into Gaza than it has any time in the past 5 years, because we have taken that situation seriously. And that's one of the things that I'm proud of about.
So yeah, JD Vance, this was his clip from yesterday, and we covered this in yesterday's episode, but it's just crazy, right? Just no accountability, no backbone to stand up against Donald Trump, and it's just like, come on, man, you're the vice president. Say what is true. Don't just stick to the talking points, especially if you wanted to win in 2028. But I don't think JD Vance has a chance when he's talking like this.
Administration is, whether it's there or Thailand and Cambodia, we have consistently tried as much as we can to solve these problems, not just complain about them like the guy who just ran away.
Okay, so you heard it all there, and actually Vice President Vance did a pretty good job there of responding to that protester who yelled out, "You are killing children."
Yeah, he did do a pretty good job. It was a pretty good response.
But normally that kind of thing doesn't really happen there. In the past, Charlie Kirk, obviously he would get protesters who would say things. He did a good job of responding to them. That's why people like to combat with him, debate with him, go back and forth, right? But think about the overall response from the vice president. So much of it didn't address the core issue there. The children in Gaza who have died,
right.
The children in Lebanon
100%.
who are dying even tonight. Instead, so much of it was just more of the same talking points, talking about Joe Biden and blaming him. No mention of Israel at all, no mention of their role, just kind of the same talking points that you would hear if you were watching Fox News. And the problem there is that so many people, especially young people, especially Gen Z, are starting to tune that out.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. The vice president floundered.
I voted for Donald Trump 3 times. 3 times. And, as somebody who loves, I love Donald Trump. But at the end of the day, he switched teams. And that's obvious. And that's something that just needs to be agreed upon, because that is the facts. Donald Trump turned on his base, and he's completely turning against everything he was voted in on. So that's the issue with a lot of the MAGA movement, the America First movement. That is the problem with Trump. He is choosing Israel first. I think he knows that to a large degree.
And then, of course, the Epstein files came up, and he actually talked about Pizzagate. Listen to this.
When you see somebody who says something in an email that suggests, there's one email I read, and it's been a little while ago, but it was talking about, one person sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein saying, oh, there were some really nice, pizzas and grape sodas or something like that. And I remember it sounded like the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, but here it was in an email from a guy. And my reaction to that was, we should absolutely investigate that person, okay? And, you remind me, I'm going to follow up on that to see whether we've investigated that person, because we should. We absolutely should.
Total politician response right there. We should investigate them, and I think we should do that. That's always what they say. We should do that. We'll talk to him about that. We need to make a question. We need to make a point of that. We need to bring that up to the Congress. The Democrats need to do more on it.
See evidence of sexual assault, sexual misconduct, regardless of whether you're powerful or not. In fact, you should probably investigate it more.
Totally agree with that.
Maybe, yeah.
It would be nice to investigate. I hope the vice president does follow up and see if any investigations taken place, because so far no investigations on the Epstein files have taken place from the Justice Department at all. And see, this is part of the problem again, because what you just saw there at the Turning Point USA event, that was the Republicans' home field just a year ago. In fact, just a year ago, that place would have been packed. Now it's a pretty small crowd. Protesters are drowning out a lot of the people. And again, look at this video. It's just not what it once was. In fact, it speaks to what's happening to Turning Point USA since the death of Charlie Kirk. Obviously, after his death, the organization shifted pretty dramatically. Now you have Erica Kirk, his widow, running the show. By the way, she didn't even attend the event because of what she called security concerns. You got to think about that for a minute, though, because the vice president of the United States is there with the Secret Service. So you would think if anyone's...
Yeah, a lot of people believe that Erica Kirk didn't go to this event because it was nobody went. And what that tells us is that a lot of people are just losing faith in the entire MAGA movement, the entire Republican movement, because the Republicans aren't doing anything for the Republicans, for the people who voted Republican, for you, or for anybody who wanted America first or making America great again. If you believed in that, if you voted on that, closed borders, secure borders, all of this stuff, they're telling you it's happening, but it's not. And you're being told things. You're being politicized. You're being subjected to political rhetoric, and how easily a politician will say something to you and just not do it or mean it at all. And that's kind of what we're seeing happen. And I think the world is becoming awake to that, especially the United States.
Danger would be him. And if any place is secure, it would be one with the Secret Service there. Also, Erica Kirk raised $250 million since taking over. Pretty sure she can afford security. Listen, overall, the optics here are really bad. And it feels like something much bigger is going on. See, this part, it's a theory, but I think it's right, is one that people are starting to talk about. Before he died, Charlie Kirk was getting more critical of the establishment, more critical of the deep state, even more critical of Israel, and then he's killed. And then the organization that he ran so successfully and made into such a powerhouse in the last election moves in the opposite direction of most everything he stood for. They align with more of the same neocons in Washington that he was actually pushing back against. And now the base seems to be turning on them. Look at this. New polls say Gen Z, the very group that Charlie Kirk, again, mobilized in 2024, is fast drifting away from the Republican Party. And Democrats are opening up large leads heading into the midterms. And not even because Gen Z necessarily wants those Democrats. They're just furious with Republicans. It's the exact same audience that Turning Point built its brand on. And that's the exact thing that they did. They swayed elections. So what happens when you lose that critical mass of Gen Z voters? Well, I think we saw some of it last night. You get small crowds, you get hecklers, and you get a message that just isn't resonating. Doesn't matter how you spin it here. Turning Point is going downhill. And if this trend continues, in 5 years, you'll have to ask the question.
We'll be right back.
Will Turning Point
Got a little
even
interruption.
still be around?
Sorry about that. We had a little interruption there, a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we are all back and good to go now. Make sure we're all good. Again, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe if you're tuning into this broadcast, and let's continue where we were at. Sorry about that. Always got to just have something going on, right? Japanese TV went full raw on live air. Jared Kushner should not be in peace talks. Isn't he a Jew? Yeah, we covered this video a little bit yesterday, but let's take another video because it's just such a good point.
それからこれ本当に素朴な疑問なんです。見られる顔ぶれがこちらとなっています。まずアメリカです。これまでもイランとの交渉に当たってきました。
Witkoff, there's JD Vance, got Jared Kushner. Who's Trump's son-in-law? On the other hand, we have Vice President Vance, who is said to have opposed intervening on the Iranian side. We have Gibov, former commander of the Revolutionary Guard and current Speaker of the Parliament, and it's expected that regarding these two countries, this might be a very basic question, but if you know, could you please explain? This Kushner guy who's on the American delegation, what authority does he have? What exactly is his position? Is he there simply as a representative of the Trump administration? That's honestly how it looks. And besides, he's Jewish, right? When it comes to the negotiations with Iran, I feel like he's kind of a person who shouldn't even be there. Yet he's participating in the position of son-in-law. I've always wondered what this guy really is. What do you think about this? Yeah, seriously, what do you think? Do you think Donald Trump is Jewish? Do you think Jared Kushner, you know, what is the real objective? Like, we know Jared Kushner is Jewish, so and we know Ivanka Trump is Jewish, so what does that make Donald Trump? And what does it make Trump when he said that he had studied Kabbalah and that he had, again, his spiritual guidance teachers were all Kabbalists and they were a lot of rabbis? What does that tell you, right? That tells you that, you know, you never really know what you can trust when it comes to your politicians. So let's look at some of these other stories I wanted to cover, some of this other breaking news, and some of the big news, some of the pop culture. Bam Margera back skating at 46 years old. I don't know who watched the Jackass crew out there, but this guy went on quite the downfall for a long time, but now he's picking it back up, and he's wearing a Jesus t-shirt, so it looks like he's looking good. Bam Margera's looking good. He's skating again, and he's doing the thing. He's doing the right things, so it's good to see that. Love to see it. Again, we watched that. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas is being praised nationwide for dropping this truth on leftism and progressivism, seeks to replace the basic premises of Declaration of Independence and hence our form of government. It holds that our rights and our dignities come not from God, but from government. It requires of the people of a subservience and weakness incompatible with a constitutional premise on the transcendent origin of our rights. Justice Thomas, this guy is a true patriot. This guy is amazing. This guy's endured a lot in politics, in U.S. politics, all of it, but he's done a good job, and he's been pretty hardline conservative, and he's held the line pretty well versus a lot of our other Supreme Court justices.
Progressivism seeks to replace the basic premises of the Declaration of Independence, and hence our form of government. It holds that our rights and our dignities come not from God, but from government. It requires of the people a subservience and weakness incompatible
100%.
with a constitution premised on the transcendent origin of our rights. Progressivism seeks to replace the basic premises of
Very true clip. Trump marionette, says Alex Jones. It's not possible for us to take care of daycare. And this was in Trump's words, right? Remember when he said this? It's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things. We have to take care of one thing, military protection. We have to guard the country, Trump said. He should have just said, let them eat lead with a nice helping of hyperinflation. Alex Jones with the satire. The king of propaganda, but also the truth, I would say. One of the most honest journalists you'll ever find in media is Alex Jones. He's been around longer than even Rush Limbaugh, 30-plus years now in conservative talk show radio, syndicated talk radio, and Trump went after Alex Jones. And yet, Alex Jones, if you were following all of this back in 2016, Alex Jones was one of the main reasons that Donald Trump even got elected. And because a large portion of Alex Jones's audience came out and they voted for Trump. And so here now you have Trump attacking the Alex Joneses and the Megyn Kellys, the Candace Owenses, the Nick Fuentes, all of these people, the Tucker Carlsons. And why? Because the Zionists in the Trump administration are getting in Trump's ear, giving him the wrong information, the wrong intelligence, everything. And Trump is just hardlining it for whatever reason, whether it's from the Epstein files or for whatever reason. This girl was former CIA. Scott Bessent collapsed the British pound in 1992, the Japanese yen in 2013, and the Iranian rial in 2025. Is the U.S. dollar next? My deep dive investigation on Scott Bessent is up on Substack now, and it's free. Probably pretty good. This girl has some good analysis on what's kind of going on and what she kind of has. This is kind of her angle on what she believes is going on.
Running our Department of Treasury right now should scare the shit out of every single American. I wasn't going to do a follow the money on Scott Bessent because my list is so long right now, but yesterday was tax day, and in honor of that, him and Carolyn Leavitt got up on a press conference and tried to gaslight Americans into saying that gas is cheaper now than when Trump took office, even though it's around $4.10 right now on average, and it was $3.08. It's $1 more. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break, divert, and do a follow the money. And when I put these pieces together, I was like, how? My jaw was on the floor. I was like, how is this man our Treasury Secretary, and how did he get through this Senate confirmation? Because they confirmed him like 68 to 29. It was like one of the better ones.
Seriously.
But I'm pretty sure he's going to tank the American dollar, if not when he's in office, as soon as he's out. But I'm just guessing, so let's get into it.
We'll
All
see.
right, Scott Bessent went to Yale. He graduated from Yale in 1984. I think he was the president of Wolf's Head. It's one of the 3 major secret societies that are at Yale. He went, when he graduated, and did some Wall Street junior jobs before George Soros hired him to work for him. And he didn't just work for him. No, he went and ran the London office. And in 1992, 1 year after he started working for Soros, he was the guy who figured out how to break the Bank of England.
Yep. And so your whole life, or maybe not your whole life, however long ago when you learned about George Soros crashing the British pound, basically, that was basically because of Scott Bessent and those alike. We're really looking at the same exact globalist crew surrounding Trump today, which is the deep state.
So Bessent found the vulnerability in UK mortgages that identified that the British government was trapped. He had Soros bet on it, $1 billion, and in one day, the pound crashed. And Soros and Bessent and the George Soros' firm.
Remember similar thing, not exactly the same thing, but a similar thing happened in 2008 during the entire housing market crash. And what you saw was essentially all of these mortgage bonds were packaged up into these little CDOs. And these CDOs were basically owned by a few people. These few people basically shorted the market, really starting with Dr. Michael Burry, who shorted the market, I believe it was $1 billion. And the fund earned $700 million for Scion Capital. And then Dr. Michael Burry walked away with about $100 million. So talk about a successful strategy, shorting the stock market, shorting the investments, shorting the real estate market. But all of these things are very much the same thing. This is how economies collapse.
Well, they made billions.
Yes, they did.
In 2013, he
Always
did it again,
do.
but this time with the Japanese yen, and crashed that, and over 3 months made Soros $1.3 billion. So our Treasury Secretary is just really good at identifying vulnerabilities in currency, betting against them, and then having that currency collapse. See where I'm going with this? Aren't we so lucky? Dollar's not in harm's way at all, is it? He's also the one that hinted at making Iran's currency crash right before we went in for the war and why everyone was protesting. He did allude to that, which caught my attention, but moving on. There's a lot more. He worked for Soros,
Crazy.
Left for a few years to start his own management company. It failed. He went back to Soros. And then a few years after that, he was like, okay, I'm going to try again. And Soros gave him $2 billion to start the fund that he had up until right before, we're going to get to this, he became Treasury Secretary. This fund ultimately lost money every single year, except 2024 when Trump got into office, because they made a bunch of bets about Trump getting into office. But they lost money every single year prior, took all the $2 billion that Soros gave them and lost it. They were down to like 500 million or something. Then 85% of their investors pulled out right before he became Treasury Secretary. So
look at that.
Isn't good. He loses money, and now he's in charge of our economy. Okay,
And now, doesn't this make sense that if you go back in time, if we go back in time and if we follow when Elon Musk was kicked out of Doge and when Doge was kicked out of the entire Trump administration, when Elon Musk, he had the black eye and suddenly, you know, everything was over with Doge. Why do you think that happened? Well, if you really look back, what happened was Elon Musk had gotten in some kind of altercation with Scott Bessent. And this caused essentially what was allegedly a fist fight. And then this led to, obviously, Elon Musk leaving. So it says a lot. Elon Musk trying to, reveal overspending, essentially, the Department of Government Efficiency, trying to ensure that the government was running properly, trying to find, loose ends in the government that were causing the U.S. to lose money. And so the further he got and the further the investigations went, the deeper they went, basically Elon Musk was kicked out and the entire program was ended. So who knows? But pretty sketchy stuff. Or are they all playing for the same team, right? Elon Musk, we know that, a lot of these people, they kind of run in the same circles, right? We have Skynet. We have Starlink, which is basically being used in the Ukraine war right now for all of these, basically for the to assist the Russians and the Ukrainians. We're kind of playing both sides, right? It's pretty evil stuff. And then at the same time, you have Elon Musk, who is at the same time, he has also come out and said, oh, Trump's in the Epstein files. That came out, maybe 5-6 months ago now. So you have all of these things you connect it, and then you ask, why are we overspending so much? And why is Scott Bessent still there? Why is Elon Musk in Doge not there? Well, maybe this is why.
All making sense now. But on top of that, in his fund, while it was losing so much money, he had categorized himself as a limited partner, even though he was CEO, founded it, ran it. He was a limited partner, then way he could evade $910,000 in Medicare taxes that he should have been paying. Then it went to litigation, and currently, it's still there. Currently, he is overseeing, as the Treasury Secretary, his own evasion of taxes case. Make it make sense.
Wow.
Okay, September 2025.
Wow.
Remember that Argentina bailout that we did? It was $40 billion, $20 billion of which we gave them, bailed them out, and $20 billion of which they have to pay back. Well, his friend, Citron, I forget his first name, he runs a hedge fund. They worked together at Soros, and they're friends. Well, Citron his firm purchased billions, hundreds of millions of dollars of Argentina bonds and equities.
Argentina. And why is Argentina important? Well, we see the Israelis right now in Patagonia. I can pull up videos of the Israelis basically burning down forests and they're occupying land. And now, essentially, Javier, who is the leader of Argentina, now he's basically made a law that allows foreigners to come in and buy up land that has been, depreciated in value. Anything that's been damaged or diminished in value, foreigners can now come into Argentina and just scoop up that land. What does that mean? It's for the Israelis. It's for the Zionists.
Right before the bailout. And then a few months later, we bail them out, and he makes tons of money. That's not insider trading, is it? Because Bessent is the one who ran the bailout. There's a bunch of other shady stuff. I'm telling you, I can only get the highlights of some of them in here.
She's absolutely right. You can go down the rabbit hole. You can find all of that to be true. All of that is verified. So again, a lot of big news. The question is, how are you handling all of it? How are you handling the unpredictable twists of fate? How are you handling it all? A lot of big things going on in 2026. Live footage of Israel directly bombs 3 separate paramedic groups on purpose. This is the most horrifying video I have ever watched. This is definitely not the most horrifying video I've ever watched, but it's up there.
On 3 different teams of
Check this out.
paramedics, all operating in the southern Lebanese town of Meyfadoun. And what we heard from the Lebanese Health Ministry was that first there was a paramedic team that, as is normal, responded to an emergency call. They were going to the site of an Israeli...
Imagine this is your local police, your local law enforcement, all of that. Imagine this is your hometown.
Airstrike where there were wounded people they needed to rescue, and as they were arriving to Meyfadoun, they were hit by an Israeli drone strike, killing 2 paramedics at that site and wounding others. And then the paramedics sent yet another team in order to rescue that first team. And as they were arriving to the town, another Israeli strike hit that team and wounded 3 of those paramedics. So then the civil defense decided to send yet a third team in order to rescue the first and the second teams. They were also hit when arriving to the town. Another 2 paramedics were killed in that third strike, and more were wounded.
Horrible.
The Lebanese health ministry has condemned this as a blatant violation of international law, saying medical facilities should never be a target under the Geneva Conventions. We're still waiting for comment from the Israeli military on exactly what it was targeting in these strikes. And we know from the past that Israel has accused the Hezbollah militant group that it is fighting a war with in the south of using medical facilities and ambulances as cover for its militant activities. But it has not provided evidence of this. And so far in this war, Israeli strikes have killed more than 91 health workers so far, according to the Lebanese health ministry.
Very scary stuff because nobody's doing anything about it. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody has the bravery to talk about it right now. 3 days of darkness. Remote viewer just sounded the alarm on a coming financial exchange shutdown. Remote viewer Edward Riordan was tasked to look at the coming financial system reset. What came back is alarming. So let's take a look. Let's take a listen to this guy. So apparently this is allegedly a remote viewer. Okay, so we're not getting into conspiracy theories, but I guess we are in some ways because I like to entertain them because you never know what could actually be real. So let's actually analyze what this guy has to say. You never know.
It has that reset button signature, like they shut down the exchange, pull the plug, and then turn it off. This is like what Dick was talking about. So now here it goes from this, and now it's this. You know, they're down there. Now nobody's there. TVs are off, but these guys are still here. These dudes are still there, though. The guys working for the comptrollers. And it seems like it goes dark. So I had to wonder, is this like the 3 days of darkness? You know, remember, that's kind of something that's been talked about. You sometimes I go, the 3 days of darkness, you know, that kind of ominous thing. And like it shuts down, this is the idea, like it shuts down on a Friday.
Again, this guy is a remote viewer. This guy is a self-claimed remote viewer, but he has some decent reviews from people. But anyways, he's saying that this is what he saw in his visions.
And then they'd have a Saturday and a Sunday.
And whatever his telekinesis, whatever you want to call it.
You know, to reset everything or whatever. So I had to wonder if that's the case, and they shut down on Friday, and you got the weekend, you got this 3 days of darkness. Okay. But what happens on a Monday, I wondered.
And then I get this dam again with trillions of dollars in
this must be another guy.
Liquidity being held back. This dam represents the traditional financial market, and new blockchain bots start coming out, and they will now flow through this system faster and tokenized. And I see that this is ready, set, go. Like the guy, the regular official pulls a cord and it lifts the thing.
This is what I've been saying is going to happen for many years now on my channels, throughout my platforms. I said it on Facebook a long time. I never got a lot of credit for it, but I've been saying that this is exactly what's going to happen. They're going to use blockchain as the new financial system. Whether you like it or not, they're going to make you do it. And so this is kind of what these remote viewers are alleging to have seen.
It releases the flow. The structure that tokenizes comes up, and a massive inflow of liquidity comes through. Another metaphor, flipping a switch in the background. Right now, massive amounts of smart contracts are being designed, written, tested, some by AI, to have financial instruments ready to go digital. When the switch is hit, when it comes online, they will be ready. It will be faster than most expect.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Bitcoin. It's going to be XRP. It's going to be Cardano, XLM. It's going to be HBAR. I think it's going to be Solana, Quant. These are going to be the winning, digital assets. Cardano, if I didn't say that, I think I did. So Ethereum will probably do pretty well. World Liberty Financial, of course, that's a stable coin that'll always be around as long as Trump is not in jail, right? So all of these things are going on.
Parabolic, so fast. Those
I think this will be coming soon.
Unprepared will have no chance to invest at this time.
Watch the full session today.
So again, a little bit of conspiracy theory stuff. We don't like to entertain that too much, but still important to consider the impossible, to consider what the masses describe to be insane. And these are the things that you should pay attention to, because there's probably something in there you're supposed to know. So as we continue looking at some of these stories, lots of big ones. This is important. Anybody watching, if you care about your financial security,
really doesn't work.
This is what's coming. This is what's coming. This is insane. This guy basically steals $10,000 from this guy's phone, basically within like 2 minutes. So look at this. Okay, within like 5 minutes.
I'm gonna get you to
this.
put that phone down on top of this device.
Okay.
Just put it down there.
Just put it on, like a. All right.
I feel like I'm a bit of a magician, but I'm like, I haven't changed anything, right?
Okay. Yeah.
It's still locked.
It's locked.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
This is
just
where
a
we're
regular
at.
payment terminal.
Yeah.
Nothing weird about that.
Seen these.
We'll start with a little like.
And this is an older video from 2021, by the way. This is not brand new. This is from 2021, but it reemerged in the algorithm today. I wanted to play it because I think there is probably a reason, right? What is in all of the newest iPhone hardware if this was already in the hardware in 2021?
Maybe 100.
5 years later, what do you think?
Let's start something like
gonna do now?
Yeah, five.
Check
Five
this
sounds
out.
great. Yeah, $5.
Do you think that we can take, like, will we be able to get this out of your phone?
I hope not, but I kind of feel like you will. Let's see.
Yeah, I'd be freaked out
now
too,
I'm going
man.
to charge $5 on this device. Your phone's still locked, right?
Yep.
I haven't done anything.
Like a David Blaine.
It's like the nerdiest David Blaine.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, let's try tap. We'll go.
What just happened on my phone?
So again, this is the Apple Pay feature that he's using to do this.
Approved. So, okay. I heard something happen on my phone while you tapped this on this.
Yes. We got a little receipt for you.
So they test out a $5 payment, and it works.
Credit. Verified.
And this isn't just an Apple Pay device, actually. What he's using is basically like an NPR, and this device is specifically designed to not require all of these different processes in your payment. So basically, it basically considers it as like a micro payment on the other side of Apple, and it allows them to take any kind of amount of money, basically without anything being even tracked or noticed.
Device, $5. So I'm gonna check my phone.
I'd be freaked out.
Oh,
that's
I have a
crazy.
new $5 charge, and it's timestamped right now. I don't like that at all. So that's
Who's to say they can't do that to all of our stuff?
So my phone had to be on this thing.
Yes.
Did it have to be on this thing? Or like near it, I guess?
So the way, well, I could explain how it works, but maybe before that, $5, it's not very much.
Yeah.
Do we want to try upping it a bit?
I'm
gonna enter a slightly larger amount.
Careful. Careful with that.
Oh.
Careful. That's a lot of
This
zeros.
dude's like rich.
Careful with that.
This dude's like
my-
super rich. He's had a successful YouTube channel covering
God,
tech for a long
okay.
time.
Do you
He's about
even
to
think it's
take the
possible,
$10,000
firstly?
from this guy's bank
$10,000.
account.
I mean, the limit on the card is above that. I don't know if Apple Pay will let you do that.
The question is also, are you used to spending this amount of money on this card? You know?
Not from my phone.
Not
This
from
is like
your
a
phone.
big screen activity, like
Yeah.
$10,000 purchase. I gotta be checking everything. So yeah, no, this would be unusual.
Let's see it. Let's see if it works. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. We're just all we gotta do again. Put your phone locked on this device.
Locked.
And for those saying, oh, well, you have to plug it into a device. Oh, well, it's like, well, who's to say that that tiny little device that he's setting the phone on that is smaller than the device, why can't you just, plug that right into the iPhone? Why can't you just slide this little device right into the iPhone? Or is any kind of the hardware, the firmware?
On that device.
Yes, exactly. And, okay, we're gonna...
One microchip can do this. If one device can do it, 5 years later, I bet a microchip can do it. That just happened.
No, just green, approved.
Print that up, print that. Oh, we did that. That is crazy.
Makes you wonder about how easily your politicians or, your enemies, the intelligence agencies, can come after you.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that back.
Yeah,
for sure, I'm gonna need that back. But also, did that just? Yeah, wow. It worked.
$10,000.
All right, I believe
insane.
you. I definitely believe you. How do we get this back? We do like a little Venmo or like PayPal?
You know, do we give it back though?
Reverse the transaction? I don't even know. Do I call my company? That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. You can keep this if you want to.
Yeah.
Get it framed.
Yeah, a receipt of the damage. I never unlocked my phone. I never put in the password. I never did what I would normally do to verify a transaction on my phone.
Yes.
It just happened to be on top of that.
So how did this actually work? When we grok it, when we look into like what actually, like how does this actually work, right? The Post shares a clip from the Veritasium video demonstrating an NFC man-in-the-middle attack using a Proxmark device that drains money from a locked iPhone via Apple Pay without Face ID or owner approval. The exploit relies on express transit mode with Visa cards, spoofing low-value transit transactions through data modification to bypass verification while tricking the payment reader into approving it. High engagement stems from widespread surprise at the vulnerability, with replies joking about staying broke or disabling features, plus links to the full 2021 Discover technique. So let's ask, stupid caps lock. So how does one prevent this from happening? Don't get an iPhone, right? So let's look it up. Let's just see what Grokipedia tells us. Curious. To prevent the specific the NFC man-in-the-middle relay attack on Apple Pay, which exploits express transit mode with a Visa card to make unauthorized payments from a locked iPhone, follow these practical steps. The attack is a sophisticated one, requiring hardware like a Proxmark, physical proximity to your phone, and a Visa card in express transit. But it's easy to mitigate. Primary fits: disable or change express transit mode on your iPhone or your Apple Pay. So open Apple Wallet on your phone, you tap the card to have set for transit or your default payment mode, tap the More button, card details, and then you'll tap Express Transit or the Express Mode / Express Transit settings. And then after that, you'll finally select None to disable this entirely, and then you choose the non-Visa card, MasterCard or American Express. These are not vulnerable in the same way. Or you just use crypto, right? Use blockchain. Go to the settings, wallet, and Apple Pay, Express Transit card, and set it to none or a non-Visa option. Express Transit is often enabled by default when you add a compatible card. Disabling it means you'll need to authenticate, double-click the side button or Face ID / Touch ID for transit taps, but regular Apple Pay purchases remain unaffected and secure. Very interesting, right? Additional protections: use a non-Visa card for transit, enable lost mode quickly if your iPhone is lost or stolen. Use Find My iPhone to put it in lost mode. Contact your bank if you suspect any unauthorized activity. Freeze or replace on the card immediately. Strong device security: use a strong alphanumeric passcode. We all know that. Passcodes are kind of a pain in the ass for everybody today, right? NFC blocking case: a wallet, case, or sleeve with a RFID NFC blocking material can physically prevent unwanted NFC communication when the phone is in your pocket / bag. Useful for general peace of mind against these relay attempts. So that's pretty much the situation. Isn't that pretty scary? It's pretty wild. Back to the news. I thought that was interesting, though, and worth talking about. Got to talk about tech a little bit. We got to talk about all of that stuff. We'll talk about the markets here soon as well. Pope Leo has posted a message on X condemning those who manipulate religion for their own gain. Woe to those who manipulate religion and the very name of God for their own military, economic, and political gain, dragging that which is sacred into darkness and filth.
To some criticism by the US. Just some breaking news to bring you. Since those comments he made in Cameroon, the Pope has posted a message on X saying, woe to those who manipulate religion and the very name of God for their own military, economic, and political gain, dragging that which is sacred into darkness
I agree
and
with that.
filth. That's Pope Leo talking via X.
There has to be a strategy behind military movements. There has to be a strategy behind it. There has to be tactical advantage. There has to be a winning scenario. And at the same time, not just winning, but there has to be a humanitarian element to it. There does need to be, an element of understanding our own powers and our own weaknesses and not giving up too much information or intelligence. And the problem is, when you have Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth up there barking for more war, there's no intelligence there. And, there's no real actual intelligence. There's no again, these are people who are being misled by the entire Trump administration right now. A lot of them from Israel. A lot of them are Jewish, right? The Randy Fines, the Howard Lutnicks, all of these people. Okay. So, breaking, just tonight, the Netherlands Parliament debated allowing male-to-male or self-fertilized embryos. This is disgusting and crazy, but we got to play it because it's what's happening. I'm calling on the international community to change the Dutch regime by force if necessary. So it's a 2-minute clip. Let's take a listen to this. This is crazy.
This is an emergency SOS call from the Netherlands. All hope is lost. Please save us. I'm calling on the international community to do something about the extreme disease that is in charge of the Netherlands. Just tonight, our parliament discussed a new law that will allow 2 men to donate DNA material to create a joint embryo out of 2 men, meaning a child born of 2 men. And will also allow a single person to mate with themselves to produce a self-fertilized egg and then create a child with only one biological parent. This comes after the Netherlands legalized gay marriage, after we had the first gay prime minister, after we invented the Dutch protocol, which is an unscientific, unproven way of castrating a man and then giving him a fake vagina with tissue from out of his ass. I'm not kidding about that. We're allowing euthanasia of children from ages 12 and up, and 16 and 17-year-olds can have themselves euthanized without their parental consent. We are also allowing, under the Groningen Protocol, the euthanasia of children up to 1 year old. So if you don't like your child, you can get rid of it after it's been born. Of course, we have abortion up to birth, right? We have, we had the world's first pedophile party taking part in our elections. My God, I can't do this anymore. I wasn't born to grow up in this Sodom and Gomorrah of the world. I am of the opinion that this country needs to be vaporized. And I hereby call upon...
We don't need to vaporize it. We need to liberate it, brother. You need to stand up. You need to fight. Only you can save your own country. You watching. Only you can save your own country. Only you can fight back against it, whether it's speaking out against it, this guy's doing what he can. But ultimately, there needs to be enough voices saying the same things. There can't be a nation of cowardice people and scared people who are afraid to say what is true because they don't want to lose their job or because they don't want to, they don't want to go to jail or do a fine or pay a fine. It's like, if that's the way people think, then you will endure all of those things. And there must be a war against tyrants when they wage the war against you. And that's exactly what's happening all across Europe. The Netherlands, as we can see from this video, again, that's horrible, right? They're allowing basically a hermaphrodite, that's what that is somebody with a penis and a vagina, to impregnate themselves. They're creating laws to allow that to happen, for that to be completely legal and not a problem. And obviously, it goes without saying that it is a problem. But they want that to be a narrative that it's not a problem, that it's okay, and that it's completely normal. Definitely not. So... this is why everybody needs to fight against that. You need to share this video, share the information, because honestly, it's just disgusting what these people are doing to us. When I say us, I mean the entire world, right? This is the Netherlands. This is Europe. But who says that this isn't happening in America? Who says that we're not next? You look at the UK and 500,000 rapes of little girls. That's according to the parliament. They came out and said that themselves. 500,000 little girls raped, little European girls raped. That's a fact. That's a fact. You can look it up. And then you have everything that's happening in Germany today. You have the United States. Look at Los Angeles. Look at the debauchery that this country brings. And all of these Western countries in general. They're being completely brainwashed. And this is the result of a psyop, the psychological war that you are fighting, the spiritual war that we are fighting. You have these countries being dominated by these other foreign nations and these foreign religions, right? Whether it's Islam, whether these other religions are Judaism, usually it's these two that are very hostile towards Christianity. And so you have the Nigerian Christians being slaughtered. You see all of it happening. And this is all really an entire plan meant to destroy all of Christianity. And that's the idea, because Christianity is the main religion, and everybody knows that. And the people who don't know that eventually end up coming to that conclusion at some point in time. And everybody has their own experience with it. Everybody goes on their own time, and everybody has their own, timeline of when they figure these things out. But it's true. So If we don't want to end up like the Netherlands, then we need to never allow this to happen, need to speak out against it.
On President Donald Trump, on President Putin of Russia, and the Ayatollah of Iran to point your nuclear rockets at this country and blast it to shits.
Okay, that's something like a Jew would say. Like, that is a very Jewish thing. Who knows who that guy really is? I just saw the clip. I thought it was good for most of it. And the end of it, at the end of the day, it's like, it's like, that's a very, we don't need to genocide the Netherlands. We need to liberate the Netherlands. We need to liberate Europe. We need to bring the truth to Europe. We need to bring Catholicism to Europe again. Look at what's happening in the UK. You have the Muslims taking over these churches, and all because of the Jewish Keir Starmer and his parliament, who is, again, run by Jews, just like the United States. And it is allowed for these foreign immigrants to come in and to destroy the Western civilizations that have been built. And that's exactly what's going on. In South Africa, white farmers and Boers, as the Africans have been calling us, and the South Africans, I'm not African, I'm just saying, I'm generalizing, white farmers and Boers are being hunted down all over the country, all encouraged by the EFF, a communist and black nationalist party. The media remains silent or flat out denies it. So this is 8 hours ago. This is what's happening in South Africa to the white people. This is Rhodesia all over again. And the guy who's been in charge of this entire thing just got 5 years in prison.
But they come under attack. One intruder corners Sutherland.
This is why you need guns, by the way. This is why we have guns in America. This is why. You shoot that fucker dead. Well, you got somebody who's going to come and try to take your life, you shoot them dead. That has nothing to do with race, in my opinion. You come and try to kill me, you will die. And that is like my policy, right?
While the other chases his friend.
And again, he got stabbed twice here.
The attack.
Viewer discretion is advised. I forgot to say that. Viewer discretion is advised. It's not really that graphic, but this man does get stabbed 2 times. So if this is a little too graphic for you, then tune out of this and come back in a few minutes. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Because stabbed Sutherland twice.
Yep,
Then
deep
try
cut,
again.
deep in there. It's like he cuts his arm
Meanwhile,
too.
the other robber enters the house.
Robber
the
enters
owner-
the house, and then, yeah, look at that. That's insane. It's absolutely crazy. And that's happening. Lord Emmy Kant posted this on X yesterday. 89.5% of Epstein list is Jewish, and 0% of the female victims are Jewish. It just gets worse and worse. That's exactly how we all feel. It's exactly how we all feel. When we learn the truth that Donald Trump was always a Jew, that the Jews have sold out America and have never truly liked America. This is the same conclusion you come to when you realize that your country has been dominated for a very long time, for many, many decades, and you didn't know it. This is the look you have when you realize that it wasn't just the Democrats or the Republicans, that it was both sides, and that really none of them were ever serving America, they were serving Israel. This is the same reaction I tend to have. And so, what about you guys? Maybe I'm just the only one. But I thought that was funny. But it's true, though. It's funny but true. This is crazy what the Battle of Fallujah was really like. So you got a U.S. veteran here talking about that.
Like so
Check
many.
this out.
Fallujah was the craziest, scariest experience I've ever.
This is why we can't be in Iran right now. I wanted to play this video because these guys go through hell. These guys have been through hell. And they were sent into the slaughterhouse with Iraq and all these different countries and all the Gulf countries. We shouldn't be there. And really, we should have never really been there. All of these were efforts, obviously, to control the Middle East and to control the oil supply and to really make as much money as possible, which is fine. But if we don't have if we don't have diplomatic means of doing it, that doesn't require globalist objectives, which is to send U.S. troops over to die, or white Europeans over to die, or whoever over to die for whatever war, then, you get these kind of outcomes.
Endured in my life. Traumatizing. I've never seen more death and destruction.
You can't send our troops
so many
into this
bodies.
war,
I've seen
'cause
ancient
this is what's
bodies fly
coming.
up from the sky from bombs, guys getting eaten by dogs, like stacks of fucking human bodies just decaying in the streets. Like, it was fucking insane, right? And what's funny is before we went on that deployment, we were actually training for this thing called SASO. I believe it stands for Security and Stability Operations, basically like martial law. And so we're training for this, like, halt, who goes there? Where's your ID at? I'm the sergeant of the guards. Like this, like, super super generic TV stigma of what a military person is. And that's what we're training for. Then we go to fucking Hell's Kitchen and we're like, oh my God. You know, it's essentially like if it has a pulse and a gun, it's dying, right? Like it's free game.
I don't think he's gonna give me his ID.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna play nice, you know, and
most of it was the scariest part was that mindset and that train up to, it's like, yeah, we're going to pull in vehicles, you're going to search them one by one. Oh, now they're just created V-bits and now they're just blowing up.
Yeah, yeah, you know it's stupid when the people you're fighting are like, they're so dumb. I'm just gonna walk from my house, wave at them to this bush where all the cache is at because I know they're not gonna kill me. And then when I get to my cache, I'm gonna go kill them. And like, we literally will watch this. It's just like, why am I here? I know they're bad. I've stalked them. I have pictures of them, right? But they don't have a gun in their hands right now. But I know as soon as I lose sight in 5 seconds, they're behind that bush where I'll lose contact because they'll hit the trench. Next thing you know, I'm taking rockets and RPGs.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's because we're on somebody else's territory, right? I mean, if, you know, we had Israel in our country doing the same thing, you know, we're going to shoot them dead. They're going to be dead. They'll be dead Israelis. You know, you have Israelis coming over to the United States or any country coming over here, you know, doing the same thing, they'd be dead. We'd kill them, you know, and that is how America would respond. And so when we're doing that to other countries, we can't expect the, you know, a reaction where we're not going to get RPG fire and, you know, gunfire and all of that. You know, the point of this video is that these guys are getting sent into the slaughterhouse, and especially for a war that has no real motivation behind it. There's no benefit behind it. We're sending troops to die in a slaughterhouse for Israel. And the Israelis know that. They believe that the U.S., that not just the United States, that all Goyim, who are non-Jews, should go and fight and die for Israel. And they've said that. They've said that. And they're hiding these videos, but they're all on X, and you can find them if you search. And, you know, if you go back on my YouTube channel, watch my old videos, watch my old episodes. We cover these videos every single night where we're watching the Israelis, and, you know, we cover the rabbis. I have an episode on my YouTube channel where we literally, you know, I go through all of these different videos of rabbis talking about this, admitting that the United States is going to fall and that Europe is going to fall, that they're going to destroy Europe and America with replacement migration, and we're going to send the United States and European soldiers to die and to fight and die for Israel. They literally say that. So we can't be sending our troops over there to die for another country that hates us.
And machine gun in like a matter of moments. And
I think that it's a great example too of what people talk about now, and like in regards to like, you know, the United States versus like, let's say China or Russia, where the United States doesn't do things militarily because of political will, or like, oh, we're holding ourselves back. Other people don't do it because they can't. China's not taking Taiwan because they can't. Russia's not taking Ukraine because
like,
they can't.
Like all the people on Twitter that are like, so if I'm understanding this means that if Trump can just go kidnap Maduro, then technically Vladimir Putin can just go kidnap Zelensky. And it's like, he's been trying for 4 years. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that's all true.
He physically can't.
They've been doing like
tried.
dumb spy versus spy shit, trying to do that exact thing. Like it physically are incapable. Whereas the United States is like, the thing we're held back by is we've made our own rules arbitrarily for our people. We could if we wanted to.
Everyone's on a leash, Marines.
Yeah,
everything.
I mean,
it's like,
all of that
and
is
it sucks because when you're actually in war, just going back to with bad officers, it's crazy. The predicaments they will put soldiers in just to get a medal.
Bro, it is
like,
the medal,
what?
Dude. Oh, how many men did you lose?
But
oh, that's
we
a
needed
fucking
to do
silver star.
A night raid up a river. They will do a mission based off a fucking river raid just to get a silver star.
You hear about that a lot. Crazy. Absolutely insane. This is the video footage of the Israeli army blowing up the official school in Marwahin, southern Lebanon. And you want to tell me they're not repeating the Gaza playbook in Lebanon? And again, this is from Mario Naufal. Imagine this is your local hospital. Imagine that's your local school. You got old people there. You got kids in there. Not anymore.
Wow.
Not anymore. Evil. And tell me again that Israel is not the greatest funder of terror in the world. Tell me that again that the Israelis are the good guys and that we need to be fighting with the Israelis when they're bombing hospitals and they're bombing churches and they're bombing schools. How about absolutely not? How about we go and fight Israel? Maybe I'll actually go and fight in that war. I don't know. Maybe I would go and fight in that war to go and fight Israel. Seriously, not really. But at the end of the day, it's like I'll fight them in every other way. Because I'm not going to go and fight and die for them over in the Middle East. That'll never happen. This afternoon, the young man seen running from the vehicle received a call from the Israeli army telling him he could die alone or die with his family in the car. He ran from the vehicle into a field and was struck and killed by an Israeli drone. This is not the first time the Israeli army has used this tactic. It is pure barbarism, abject terrorism. Yep. And so it doesn't show the event. But again, all of these things are actually happening. We spent the day with civil defense and paramedics in Nabatieh, where 4 Lebanese rescuers were killed in a series of targeted Israeli strikes. Despite the risks and constantly bombing, they see they will not abandon their duty. Some returned to work even while injured. So, listen to this.
We spent the day with civil defense teams in Nabatieh after a series of Israeli strikes targeted rescuers, killing 4 of them. Despite reports of an imminent ceasefire, strikes continued to pound the city throughout the day. For rescuers, every mission now comes with added risk. They are forced to assess the situation to make sure they're not
Your discretion is advised. I
trying to
keep
save
forgetting to
lives.
say that.
Rescuers told us that this is not the first time they've come under attack, but they described yesterday's attack as the worst yet. They were forced to pull out the dead and rescue injured colleagues, all while still under Israeli fire.
Aren't they just so pleasant? Aren't the Israelis so pleasant? Aren't they really great allies? Don't you think we should continue sending money to them? Now for a little laugh, a little bit of humor into this podcast. A little humor here into the live stream. I thought this was funny.
I found out 3 days ago my husband of 6 years, we have 2 beautiful boys, is paying for escorts.
This guy's hilarious. He's a great comedian.
How much? How did you find out?
I saw the text message under the new update on iPhone, under edit and delete it.
Hold on, you can check those? What was it?
300 per hour.
300 per hour? Do they do by the minute? It's like, I got 20, you know what I mean? I got 5. Did you see the pictures?
There's no pictures and he won't admit it. He's saying it's a scam.
It's a scam? That means he didn't come.
And this is your wife. Congratulations. Where'd you meet? Out of curiosity. Hello? You want to turn him on? What was it?
At work.
At work. Don't yell at me. I can hear just fine. Good sir. At work. Okay. And which casino do you own? And did you guys happen to work at the same place?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Man, what were you doing at this place of work? Business? I feel like I've seen a picture of you on the back of a truck. What'd you say? Make fun of amputees. God damn, dude. That could be half the show. Are there any amputees here? Wait, for real? Oh, him? All right. What's amputated? Both legs? What happened to your legs?
I got blown up over in Iraq in 2003.
Holy shit. Well, thank you for your service. Blown up in Iraq. Are we talking Claymore? Are we talking cherry bomb, Roman candle? What was it?
But it was double stack anti-tank landmine.
Sound like a lot of dangerous words in a row. I can understand that. And are you above the knee or below the knee?
Below the knee, I'm low.
God damn, dude. What are you, a janitor at Hogwarts? Jesus Christ. AirPods, wallet.
Does your keychain look like that?
Hand sanitizer. Flashlight?
Yeah.
There you are. You're 36? You look fucking great. Congratulations. Wow. Never mind. Yeah, don't get cocky, okay? Chill out. You'll make me a bet. What's happening? What's the bet? What's the bet?
Lay flat on my back, flat on my feet. Can you do that?
You're betting me that you can lay flat on your back and land on your feet? This isn't a sobriety test, dude. You don't have to do that. Hold on, is that thing taped to your fucking hands? Oh my God, dude. Look at that shit. An Alabama baseball glove.
Gotta have some humor on the live stream. Gotta have some humor while we're covering World War III and while we're covering some pretty traumatic stuff. So had to add some laughs in there. Father Josiah Trenum to Tucker, Zionism has no roots in historic Christianity. And so, yeah, let's take a look at this video.
In the Christian faith, it's not as though that there are non-Christian Jewish people and their special relationship with God. It's very strange. Zionism has no history in the Christian faith. It's not as though that it's just a matter of denominational preference. No, you will seek in vain for 18 and a half centuries to ever hear of such things. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The church is very conscious of being the fulfillment of everything that took place in the Old Testament. The church is the people of God. Paul calls the church directly the new Israel. That's who we are. We are God's people, and we're made up both of Jewish people and Gentile people from every tribe, tongue, people, and nation. It's not about ethnicity at all. We don't care. If you came to my parish on a typical Sunday morning, I mean, you would need a big piece of paper just to write the number
because this is really the fundamental difference between
ethnicities that are there. I've always told our people, look, our goal should be
Christianity and
that the
Judaism.
ethnic distribution of our county, we're in Riverside County, about 3 million people. I said the ethnic diversity there should be exactly represented in our parish. If the church is for everyone and we want everyone, which means in my county, that's 57% Hispanic, 11% African American, about 30%
He's an Orthodox
Anglo.
Christian,
I said
too,
that's
so
what it should be. If a church has been there and has
He's an Orthodox Georgian Christian, so he's over on the Eastern Hemisphere.
look like. This is normal. This is our way of looking at things. We don't think that somehow the Old Testament is continuing and never came to fruition, and that somehow a temple has to be rebuilt, or the Old Testament sacrifices have to begin again, which is impossible,
right here.
or the Aaronic priests have to come back, or we're going to start slaying animals. All of that was a picture of Jesus himself. He says it himself. He told the Pharisees, you search the scriptures because you think that in them you have life. It's these that bear witness to me. Everything in the Old Testament 100%. Is a type of Christ. It's all about him.
Yeah. And ultimately that is the truth of Christianity versus Judaism, right? We believe as Christians, as Catholics, that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, that he died for our sins and then rose 3 days later. He was resurrected and he was brought to heaven. And then, that created the New Testament. Jesus Christ, the first Christian, hence his last name, that was the beginning of the divinity of Jesus Christ and Christianity. And it was the end to the Old Testament, the old ways of doing things, which was human sacrifice, which was rape, which was incest, with all of these horrible things, evil things that still exist in a lot of these other religions today. Christianity has always been the truth, the way, the life, the light, all of it. And so that is going to be the big revelation of our time, of at least of this decade for certain. So it's very interesting to see how the algorithms and all of these things are responding, but it seems like the world is waking up. I mean, I don't know. You tell me. What do you think about this issue, though? Do you think this is true? Do you think this is false? Sickening Minnesotans got robbed of $9 billion in taxpayer money through just 14 Medicaid programs under Tim Walz's watch. Today, every single Democrat on the Rules Committee voted to block any investigation into that massive fraud. So let's listen to this video.
Vice Chair
Aren't these people heroes?
Yes. Vice Chair Hollins?
No.
Representative Allen?
Yes.
Representative Coulter?
No.
Representative Frederick?
No.
Representative Howard?
No.
Representative Jacob?
Jacob, yes.
Representative Jordan?
No.
Representative Cagle?
No.
Representative Nash? Yes. Representative Purcell?
Yeah, so you're watching all this vote take
That concludes
place.
our agenda for today. The meeting is adjourned.
Oh, it's just great watching the politicians sell out America. This is breaking from Fox News 12 hours ago. Pete Hegseth gives scathing message to Iran's military leadership. We're watching you. Our capabilities are not the same. Our military and yours. Remember, this is not a fair fight, and we know what military assets you are moving and where you are moving them to. So come on, Hegseth.
And we know what military assets.
Like, I hate to just be a hater on Pete Hegseth because he had a lot of potential. I really did see a lot of potential in Hegseth, but you know, he's really proven himself to be kind of a doofus. I mean, you know, I hate to say that, but if we're talking about military intelligence, he has none. And I mean, you know, obviously he has knowledge, he has information, he does have like intelligence, but not like actual intelligence here, right? We're going to this Iran war gung ho when in the meantime China's just watching and spying on every single movement we're doing. They're collecting that data. You know, so every other country's watching us. We're on the world stage. We're being humiliated by Iran right now. And so it's like, this is a war we should have never fought. We shouldn't have picked. And it's just like Vietnam all over again. It's just like Iraq all over again. And we're seeing a 2.0 of that. Donald Trump has become George W. Bush.
We'll start with a message to Iran's military leadership.
Hiring people like this especially. Don't forget that Pete Hegseth was a Fox News contributor. He was like a reporter or something like that. He was like literally a news anchor. And then central casting, right, as Donald Trump always says, then that's how you know these people are getting put up on the world stage.
Leadership and IRGC leadership, we're watching you. Our capabilities are not the same, our military and yours. Remember, this is not a fair fight. And we know what military assets you are moving and where you are moving them to. While you are digging out.
Yeah, that was real smart. Just tell them that you know that information.
Exactly what you're doing, digging out of bombed out and devastated facilities, we are only getting stronger. You are digging out your remaining launchers and missiles with no ability to replace them.
Like, the whole world looks at this war and they just know it's pathetic of the United States to fight in this war because really it's a stupid war. You know, it's really, there's no military benefit to this war in Iran for the United States. Everybody knows that this war is completely and only benefiting Israel at the end of the day. And so it's like we have no benefit coming from this. Beside, maybe if we could control the Strait of Hormuz again. Maybe. And that all comes down to whether or not these 10 to 20,000 troops that Donald Trump just sent in there do not get slaughtered, right? And again, Karg Island, all of these power plants, which is really what that is all about. They want to secure that power plant, the gas plants in particular. They want that oil. They want to reap the benefits and the spoils of that oil. And right now, China's doing that. We had it. Then Trump went in, attacked Iran, bombed 100 plus innocent Iranians, and now we have this entire skirmish, and Israel is blaming America now. And Israel is now saying, oh, no, we're hands off. We're just fighting Hezbollah and the terrorists, when really they're bombing Christian villages in Lebanon while you're focused on Iran. This is all shock and awe, multi-domain war, and it's very, very, very evil and wrong.
You have no defense industry, no ability to replenish your offensive or defensive capabilities. You only have what you have. You know that, and we know that. You can move things around.
Come on, Pete.
But you can't actually rebuild. We'll start with a message to...
We'll see about that. We'll see if that's true. I mean, I do think... I want America to win. I'm rooting for America, but at the end of the day, you know, this isn't how we win. Finally, the U.S. has fully withdrawn from Syria. The final soldiers departed an airbase from Jordan. That was just 12 hours ago. Wonder why. So again, that is the U.S. fully withdrawing from Syria. And let's just see if that's true. Do a little Grokpedia check. Full military withdrawal from Syria with final troops departing an airbase from Jordan, using wonder why to prompt speculation on motives. Attached video shows a long convoy of armed military vehicles and soldiers driving on a rural road under overcast skies, sourced from North Press Agency, but several replies dispute it, depicts U.S. forces and identify it as Syrian army activity. Confirmed reports as of February to April 2026 detail the Trump administration's ordered drawdown of roughly 1,000 to 2,000 U.S. troops from Syrian bases, ending a decade of anti-ISIS operations as Damascus consolidates control. Lots of big things there. So this is the guy, this is the South African leader, Julius Malema, And he is famous for the "kill the boar" chant, where he was just sentenced to effectively 5 years imprisonment and R60,000 fines. This stems from an unrelated firearms offense case in 2018 where he shot a firearm into a crowd of people. So again, this is the guy who was saying, "Kill the boar, kill the farmer, kill the boar, kill the farmer," and he was like doing like this whole thing.
Free of any interference, this judgment or sentence is the sentence of this court and this court alone. In respect of count 1, you are sentenced to a period of 5 years imprisonment. In respect of count 2, you are sentenced to a period of 2 years imprisonment. In respect of count 3, you are sentenced to 20,000 rand or to undergo 6 months imprisonment. In respect of count 4, you are sentenced to 20,000 rand or to undergo 6 months imprisonment. In respect of count 5, you are sentenced to pay a fine of 20,000 rand or to undergo 6 months imprisonment. In terms of Section 280, subsection 2 of Act 51 of 1977, the court orders that the sentence imposed in respect of counts 2, 3, 4, and 5 run concurrent with the sentence imposed in respect of count 1.
Good. And good riddance.
You may be seated.
Yeah, you may be seated in jail, bitch. Seriously, fuck these people. Anybody who wants to destroy peace and civility and society must be destroyed and eliminated immediately. Pete Hegseth quoted a fake Bible verse from Pulp Fiction during a Pentagon sermon.
Shepherd the lost through the valley. So the prayer is CSAR 2517, and it reads, and pray with me, please. The path of the downed aviator is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of camaraderie and duty, shepherd the lost through the valley of darkness.
Wow.
For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to capture and destroy my brother. And you will know my call sign is Sandy 1 when I lay my vengeance upon them.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
So the prayer is CSAR 2517.
Yeah. So you look at that and you're just like, dude, they're quoting movies. They're quoting movies, you know. It's like, that's what they're doing. And so now you really think that your Hollywood movies were never propaganda? You really think that every single movie you ever watched didn't have significant meaning for the future? Think about the movies you've seen. Top Gun Maverick. Where were they? Where did they get shot out of the sky in that film? Oh yeah, it was Iran. What was the mission? They needed to take out the nuclear program with bunker buster bombs. You need to get the missile right into the nuclear silo. Isn't that interesting? It really similar to what we're seeing happen in Iran today. We just had the 2 pilots who were rescued from Iran. And then on top of that, you have this film that we just watched. We watched this entire speech being plagiarized from that movie, Pulp Fiction. And then at the same time, you have all of this central casting vocabulary from Donald Trump. Central casting. He's central casting. Put him on the big screen. Yeah. So your movies are always, again, you think of Civil War. Think about the movie Civil War. All of these movies were written by the intelligence agencies. All of these scripts were written by the intelligence agencies. All of these films that you love were written by the CIA. And guys like myself that are artists and they love to create this stuff. And so be careful. Be careful. Israel is erasing towns in Lebanon. IDF soldiers celebrate as they record and drive past. Take a very close look at this. This is going to hurt. Might hurt your soul a little bit. So viewer discretion is advised if this is too much to watch. But this is Lebanon right now. This looks to me very similar to Gaza. I don't know what this guy's saying. Probably something evil. Imagine that's your hometown, wherever you live. That could be America. Why? Who's to say they can't do that to the United States? Who's to say when they don't try? They did it in 9/11 pretty nicely, right? what happens when they really try for America. And I think they will. This is why Israel must be stopped immediately by the entire world, or this will happen to us. Make no mistake about it. This will happen to us if we do nothing against Israel. If we never stand against them, if America never stands against them, then nobody will. Zionism must end completely. The entire political, national terrorist threat, which is Israel, and the Zionist lobbies specifically, they should be labeled terrorist organizations. The IDF, Judaism, a political terrorist organization. Because that is what this has created. All of this belief system created this. That anybody who is not Jewish should be killed. Anybody who is not a Jew should be killed like cattle, according to the Talmud. Not my words. That's the Jewish Talmud. You look at this and you look at the Geneva Convention, you look at the Nuremberg trials, you think about all those war crimes that the Nazis committed, allegedly, and what they were so persecuted for, and here they're doing the same thing. But then when you question Israel, you're called the Nazi. You're called the anti-Semite. That's called gaslighting, as this is happening before your very eyes, and you do nothing about it. All you can really do is speak the truth and inform people and wake people up. Or you secure positions of political power, you create wealth in whatever way legal, and then you take back your country by the truth above all things. This is what happens when tyranny wins. This is what happens when communism wins. This is what happens when the Jews run your country and the whole world. This is why they were kicked out of 109 different countries, precisely for these videos that we've been watching. Ben Shapiro, speaking at Young America's Foundation event, starts his speech praising the control of speech on college campuses. Then he goes on to attack Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, and Megyn Kelly in an auditorium the size of my living room.
Late last week, the president of the United States possible. It's wonderful to be here at University of Pennsylvania, a place that now apparently recognizes that calls for genocide against Jews are bad. So congrats on that, UPenn.
What?
It took a little while to get there, but eventually you got there, so congrats.
Look at the way he talks down to non-Jews, the goyim, as they like to call you, as they like to call us, the goyim. Look at the way, the disrespect, right out of the gate from the slip, where he's just like, it took you a little while to appreciate the Jewish people in Israel. It took you a little while, but you figured it out. It's like, dude, the arrogance of these people.
Late last week, the president of the United States ripped into pseudo-conservative commentators Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, and Alex Jones. He did so by calling them low IQ. Now, of course, the president has dropped this descriptor just a few times in the past. In this particular instance, he is not wrong. You are indeed rolling in low IQ horse shit.
So remember, this Ben Shapiro man, listen, he should remember, he should take his own advice. Facts don't care about feelings, Ben. At the end of the day, your people, the Israeli people, occupied this country. Donald Trump is serving the Israeli people because he's in the Epstein files. We all know it. That's why he worships Mark Levin and the Jews and Howard Lutnick and does nothing about it, never arrests Bill Gates, never does anything to Dr. Fauci or any of these people, right? Nobody gets in trouble. And it's only because of the Epstein files. And then they take this, this is the same guy, this same journalist, Ben Shapiro, the same guy who was attacking Trump over and over and over again for years for these same kind of statements, right? Calling people idiots, calling people stupid, all this stuff. And now he's saying, oh, yeah, well, he's right this time because it benefits the Jewish people. The Jewish narrative, right? Oops. Where was I? Gotta find our link again. Where were we? Stand by. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe as we try to find where we were at here. Gotta try to find it. Of course, everything's not gonna load. Isn't that great? Well, that's awesome. It's okay. We'll just use this link and we'll go back to it. We'll find it. Ultimately, though, what do you guys think about that? I think that's honestly insane. Totally crazy. Where were we here? Where are you, Ben Shapiro? I got to find your video again because Apple Macintosh is just such a pleasure to work with. Such a pleasure. There we are.
To be here at University of Pennsylvania, a place that now apparently recognizes that calls for genocide against Jews.
We're right here.
He did so by calling them low IQ. Now, of course, the president has dropped this descriptor just a few times in the past. In this particular instance, he is not wrong. You are indeed rolling in low IQ horse shit if you believe, as Tucker Carlson does, that the president is a slave to Israel, or that Muslims believe in Jesus the same way that Christians believe in Jesus, as he said today.
That's actually true. There is more of a relation to the Muslims and the Christians than the Jews and the Christians. The Jews hate Jesus. They spit at Christians. If you were to go to Israel or Jerusalem today to visit the holy sites, you're going to be spat at, and you're going to be disrespected. You'll be afraid for your life. These people will tug at your clothes. They'll kick you. They'll scream at you. This is what they do. And so you go over to Israel with a crucifix around your neck, put it in the air even, and see what happens to you.
That Alex Jones is a prophet, or that the chief opposition to Venezuelan dictator Nicolas...
Alex Jones is always right, though. I mean, is he not a prophet? He's always right. He's always been right about like all of this stuff. Track record, probably the most accurate of any analyst, and that is why they attack him so hard.
Maduro was global homo, or that Russia is beautifully run with tremendous subways, or that Sharia law produces wonderfully clean and robust civilizations, or that Winston Churchill was the villain of World War II, or that Nick Fuentes is less evil than Ted Cruz. You are indeed wallowing in low IQ slop if you promote, as Candace Owens does, the conspiratorial trash that Erica Kirk and TPUSA and the Israeli government and Josh Hammer and...
Wait, Erica Kirk? Why are we talking about Erica Kirk? Why did you feel the need to talk about Erica Kirk? Because she runs TPUSA? Because you're close with Young America's Foundation? Come on.
Everyone who isn't Tyler Robinson was involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. And that you know this because Charlie came to you in a dream. Or
that's
that
a reference to
Frankists
Candace Owens
are in control of America's foreign policy and also engage in ritual murder of Christians, by this she means Jews, or that Israel was founded as a haven for pedophiles, or that Brigitte Macron has testicles. I have no basis on which to assess the latter matter. But she's going...
I don't think this clip's going to age very well for Ben. I think a lot of what he just said that isn't true or is true, he's completely wrong about. Like all the stuff he said is not true is probably going to end up being proven to be true, right? Like Brigitte Macron, we don't know that, but there's a lot of suspicion there. But no factual evidence, but who knows? I mean, very bold statements here. And then when you look at all these other statements that he's making, it's just like, absolutely, how does anybody deal with these people? Like, we can't deal with them. They're totally unreasonable. This is the enemy of America. They are coming after this country 100%. We are at war with Israel.
Going to win a lawsuit against Candace Owens. And worst of all, you are preying on low IQ people when you cynically humor all of the foregoing for clicks and cash, as Megyn.
Don't you love the I gotta love the camera shots. You gotta love the low shot camera angle that they gotta have, and then they do the rolling effect. Isn't that amazing? They gotta like really spice up the production value of this entire clip.
Kelly does. Nobody is upset with Megyn Kelly's facile, trite, hackneyed takes on Middle Eastern politics. People are upset with her absolute cowardice and annoyed by the fact that as a 55-year-old person, she cosplays courage like a clout-chasing 16-year-old girl. So, what do all of these purveyors of low IQ rubbish have in common? What they have in common is a grievance-based view of the world in which they, and those like them, are perennial victims of the American system.
Isn't that wonderful? Aren't these just the most enjoyable people? Don't they just love America? Isn't it just so obvious that they love this country and you? Isn't it so obvious, Goyim, as they call us a Goyim? Ridiculous. Absolutely obscene. Breaking, the Japanese government has approved a major relaxation of arms export rules, effectively ending the post-war pacifism era and opening the country's military-industrial complex to the global market. Japan, with a $60 billion military budget, already produces high-tech systems ranging from submarines and warships to its own missiles, tanks, and combat crafts. Corporations like Toshiba and Mitsubishi Electric are beginning massive hiring and factory expansions, expecting defense sales to grow more than 50% by 2031. At a first practical step, Tokyo plans to supply second-hand missile frigates to the Philippines to strengthen the balance against China in the South China Sea, as well as joint projects with Poland in the fields of electronic warfare and anti-drone systems. Additionally, Ukraine is expected to join the initiative. An industrial group is already being formed in Tokyo to combine the efforts of Japanese and Ukrainian drone manufacturers. Although the ban on supplying weapons to active war zones remains, the formation of supply chains independent from the United States and Asia makes Japan a serious competitor, including for South Korea and Israel. At the same time, the country's relatively unique and self-sufficient technological base allows it to quickly take a position in the niche of air defense for components and systems, offering allies an alternative to the overburdened United States defense industry. So, pretty scary stuff. Japan is moving up as well. Japan is growing, and they are not backing down anytime soon. So it looks like we're starting to get into the news from yesterday. We'll look over the breaking news a little bit and any news stories that happened while we were streaming. Pope Leo warns against blending Catholicism with non-Catholic religions.
Practices, so as not
What's this? This is new.
It also calls us to be vigilant, even regarding our own religious practices, so as not to fall into the trap of mixing the Catholic faith with other beliefs and traditions of an esoteric or Gnostic nature. It also calls us.
Yep, absolutely. And what he's saying there, the key words that Pope Leo just said there was the end of this clip where he talks about, here, let's listen to it one more time.
Of an esoteric or Gnostic nature.
Esoteric or Gnostic nature. So what is he talking about when he says that? Esoteric. Well, that is a reference to the Freemasons, Jesuits, and secret societies, essentially. And then when he says, all of these other religions, what do you say there at the end?
Or Gnostic nature.
Yeah, Gnostic. So Gnostic religions essentially mean it's basically a neutral stance on God. You believe that there are many gods, that you don't really have a firm stance on who your God is. That's more what the Gnostics believe. And so that's kind of what Pope Leo is saying there. And I absolutely agree with what he's saying. Can somebody please source me the news segment that caused this meltdown? Looks like he may have accidentally heard the truth. Yeah. So we read this at the beginning of this live stream. Again, you can go back to the beginning of this live stream and watch it again if you want to. We're kind of running out of time. Breaking news, Russia just warned that America is preparing to invade Iran. So we'll do one final update for the night from Alex Barnico on the war, on the Iran war. On the Iran war and what's happening with that.
So I don't want to make presumptions. Some breaking news. Russia just warned that America is preparing to invade Iran, and they're using the peace talks in Pakistan as cover to launch a ground invasion. The head of Russia's National Security Council just said, quote, America and Israel can use the peace talks to prepare for a ground operation against Iran. But the reason this is such a big deal is that this comes at the same time the US just announced they're sending another 10,000 troops to the Middle East. And this brings the total number up to 60,000 troops now.
60,000
That is enough to launch an entire war. These 10,000 troops are arriving on another aircraft carrier, its entire strike group, along with another amphibious assault group. There's possibly 20 more warships arriving in the Middle East as well over the next few days, carrying these 10,000 troops. And if that wasn't enough to persuade you that America might be using the peace talks as cover to launch a ground invasion, well, now the head of Russia's National Security Council said that them and Israel are preparing to. Of course, that's all we've got to go off at the moment, so I don't want to make presumptions. I'm just going to give you the news. But I am going to keep you up to date and be the first person to bring you the news on anything that happens around this. So leave me a follow because I'm covering stuff that you're not going to find or see anywhere else.
Great content there from Alex Barnicoat, and be sure to give him a follow. What else is new here in the algorithm? 7 hours ago, that's Sneeko. What must be done leaves no room for hesitation. So yeah, this is Nayib Bukele. He is the El Salvadorian leader, and he is truly a hero for his people. He is an example that any government can truly change their government if they have the right leadership. This is an interesting case because this man took on El Salvador when the streets were completely filled with dirt and every street's filled with dirt, but filled with, you know what I mean by that, filled with just complete garbage, trash, the worst kind of living. El Salvador was terrible. It was the slums. And then now it's this gorgeous place, and it's become this completely new society. And it even has a new financial system, Bitcoin, right? And so all of these things have helped the El Salvadorian people, and this guy has changed his country in a very short period of time. It is proof, this man is proof that with a little bit of resolve and the will and the love for your own people, that is what is going to create change in the world. So this is a true leader, and this is what Trump should be sounding like.
He's
speaking Spanish. I don't want to. He's speaking Spanish. I don't feel like translating it. I wanted to find one of the videos where he shows the changes that have been made. He's got a lot of different good clips here, though.
What about the human right of kids to
I love everything this guy says. He's an example of America first and what our politicians and every politician should sound like and talk like. This is a true statesman right here.
What about the human right of a woman not to be raped? I mean, what about the human right of kids to play or to be free or to go to the park?
That makes me like almost want to cry when I listen to that, because that is truly how a leader should be. You know what I mean? That is the essence of a true, man of his people.
What about the human right to live, or the human right to walk in the street, right? But no, they were worried about the human rights of the killers. What about the human?
Yeah, it's a very big statement that he made. Just kind of looking deeper into his profile, just so many things this guy has done for El Salvador. Truly a man after the hearts of his people. Delivering projects across the country, and this is love and support from the El Salvadorian government. The transformation is what this is about. The transformation, what this man has achieved for his people. We the people, that is the kind of leader that should be elected. Truly cares about the people. Prosperity, tranquility, liberty, freedom, safety, security, justice. It's very simple. It's very easy. But you need a government who believes in those values, who believes in all of that. And he stood up for a lot of American issues, right? Irina Zarutska and everything that happened with that. Very, very big statements there. Still looking for, this video right here is specifically what I'm looking for. America can be great again. Absolutely. And there's nothing stopping us from this kind of change and everything this country has become. El Salvador. I can't believe we have to take notes from El Salvador. It's kind of insulting in many ways, but at the same time, it's like you look at the transformation, the safety and the prosperity of the people. That is absolutely achievable. It is doable. It can be accomplished, but you need strong leaders. You need strong people who care about the future of mankind and humanity. That is people who are not in fear and choosing to live inside of their homes and all of these things. No, they're out and about. They feel safe in their own streets. You watch this, you see people riding bikes, you see little kids running around, with their parents, and you see buildings that look nice, no trash on the streets. And then you go to New York City and look at what you see. We should never be having to take notes from other countries on this, but to say the least, this is what we could achieve. And so that is why it is important for people to consider everything that's happened to that El Salvadorian government, the difference. The pure difference. It's very, very miraculous to see. Very wild. So anyways, as we continue looking at these bigger stories, a lot of big news. Again, at the end of the day, we're pretty much coming to the end of the stream. Doesn't look like there's anything too breaking that's going on right now. Okay, well, 3 minutes ago, Italy has canceled one of their most important military contracts with Israel. What are your thoughts on this?
The deal they just cancelled is actually so important that it could stop Israel from even being able to go back to war.
He gives the best war analysis, and that's why I like to, encapsulate. We like to show his videos for a lot of the, Iran war and the updates on that.
Iran. And so you need to know what's happened. Well, today, the Italian Prime Minister came out and announced that due to the war in Iran, Italy has had a change of view on what they want to do with Israel. Giorgia Meloni, the Italian Prime Minister, said, quote, "In light of the situation, our government has decided to suspend the renewal of the defence agreement with Israel." Now, it's worth knowing, for the last few years, Giorgia Meloni and the Italian government has actually been one of the biggest supporters of Israel in Europe. Many countries like Portugal and Spain have done the opposite and distanced themselves from Israel. But Italy kind of got closer during the war with Gaza. But since the war in Iran started and Israel started carrying out attacks onto Lebanon and started invading southern Lebanon, Italy kind of changed their position. Giorgia Meloni came out and condemned Israel's attacks on Lebanon. And today, partially in response to that, but also to stop the risk of Italy being complicit in a future war if it restarts again, Italy has cancelled a defence agreement with Israel. Not a small defence agreement, a defence agreement with everything, whether it's military troop training, sending and delivering weapons, etc. Italy wants no part of it anymore. And so Italy seems to have had enough of Israel, and they're putting their foot down now, and they're joining the list of countries in Europe now that are also distancing themselves from this war. But it's likely Israel will respond to this, and they won't be very nice when they do. So leave me a follow, because I'm going to be the first one to keep you up to date on that, because Israel could say...
we're all waiting for Meloni to be called anti-Semitic. So we'll cap off this entire... maybe we won't cap it off with that clip. Nick Fuentes. We'll cap it off with this clip right here.
Building of an earthly temple, God forbid. The Wailing Wall means nothing to Christians. Nothing. We are not looking or anticipating. In fact, it is impossible that the old shadow type of Jesus's body of the church could be, in fact, accomplished. St. Cyril of Alexandria says that the earthly temple was a foretaste of the true temple, the body of Christ, the church. We would never rebuild a type when the real thing is here. We don't live in shadows. We live in the full light of Christ. We don't look for Aaronic priests to return when the very possibility of such has been forever destroyed by the judgment of God upon the nation of Israel in AD 70 at the hands of the Romans as a fulfillment of Jesus's prophecies. We don't pine after Aaron and his priesthood, that earthly priesthood passed by blood, which has been obliterated. They have no records. They don't have priests anymore. That Old Testament was a type of Jesus's priesthood, which has come in fullness. We would never 100%. Look for the
and I love that. I love this guy. Again, he's an Orthodox Christian on the Eastern Hemisphere, on the other side of the world. But I love everything he's talking about, everything he's saying. So very powerful stuff. So with that being said, we'll wrap this show up for tonight. What do you guys think about all of the news happening in the world? What do you guys think about the Iran war? What do you guys think is coming next? Ultimately, I think we're going to have to be on our feet, and we're going to have to be paying attention to all of the developments that are happening. We have Israel settling Lebanon. That's happening simultaneously as the United States is really putting 10 to 20,000 troops into Iran now. And Kharg Island is still on the table. I think there's a greater operation waiting for that. And ultimately, we also have, what else do we have? We have the Nigerian Christians. We have South Africa completely. We have that on trial. We have the white genocide that is happening in these countries. But there's so much more, right? There's so much more. Really, this entire battle is the battle for Christianity and the search for the truth, right? Because I think we are in a point in history where you're seeing all of these leaders become exploited, and everything that they've done in their past is being, again, exposed. So with that being, done, it leaves us at a crossroads. Where is the future going to go? Where will there be a future of justice? Where will there be a future where there's law and order and the sanctity of human life? Or will there be a future where there is just barbarism and we go back to the Old Testament times for another 1,000 years? I don't see that happening. I see the world waking up to the truth, and to the truth that the Zionist state of Israel, they are causing all of this genocide in Gaza, in Lebanon, and the fact that people aren't talking about it is only because they are scared. This is an issue that is pertinent enough to where many people should be talking about it. Most people should be talking about it. It is the issue that is going to affect your life in the next decade, and all of the economics at a macro level, it 100% will impact it. Many agendas are being played at once. We could see a dollar crash very soon, in my opinion. Again, we have all of these movements being made, right? Peter Thiel and NVIDIA, they sold a lot of their stock, but you have Bitcoin being, bought up by the institutions. You have the Clarity Act that may or may not pass. It's kind of waiting, right? People are waiting for that. But the Clarity Act will allow the, blockchain industry, the crypto industry, to essentially save the United States dollar. And that's kind of the plan, right? You save the United States dollar by building up cryptocurrency. People buy cryptocurrency. They get rich off cryptocurrency, and then they buy tax-free muni bonds. They buy, the S&P 500. You buy the oil, you buy crude oil and all that stuff. You reinvest all of your crypto earnings into the financial system, the fiat system. And then at the same time, the Fed is going to back everything by gold, right? They're going to reset the prices of gold, all of those things. And I think that a lot of that's already being done. Okay, we didn't cover the markets as much tonight as I wanted to, but we'll cover the markets next week. We'll get more into that. And again, have a good week. Friday, it's Thursday today, and tomorrow's Friday. Maybe we'll do a live stream, maybe we won't. But at the end of the day, be safe, stay prudent, stay powerful, and stay wealthy. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, support the show, support the information. With that being said, nothing else to say here. Work with me if you want to grow your business, goldsharkmedia.com, or work with me, email me at brendan.ecker@exprealty.com if you are looking to invest in real estate. Okay, that's brendan.ecker@exprealty.com. If you're looking to invest in Michigan real estate, I'm a Michigan realtor, able to help you. And then goldsharkmedia.com, just go there. Start your software company, whatever you want to do. Build your company, automate your business, whatever it might be. You might be HVAC, you might be realtor, you might be any kind of entrepreneur, really, it works for, right? Use those resources to you, and I will see you next week or maybe tomorrow.